Hey, Detroit Lions fans, this is Mike Pay from A to Z Sports Detroit. Today, I want to talk about the situation with Jack Campbell that happened recently where the Lions picked up the fifth-year option for Jahmyr Gibbs, but declined Jack Campbell's fifth-year option. And while I think a great deal of Lions fans understood what happened there, I think maybe some didn't. And I know some fans from other teams and some media from outside of Detroit definitely didn't pick up on what was happening there. I think the thought process outside of Detroit and with some Lions fans was that, oh man, they didn't pick up his fifth-year option. They can't afford him anymore. They're going to let him hit free agency. And man, I know some Dallas Cowboys fans and some fans from outside of Detroit were like, okay, go trade for Jack Campbell. The Lions don't want him anymore. Like, that's just not what happened in any way, shape, or form. If you're worried about Jack Campbell leaving Detroit, like, this should be the last thing that you're worried about. Basically, here's what happened. Linebackers and edge rushers are in this weird combination when it comes to fifth-year options. Like, centers and guards are also packaged together with tackles. So a linebacker is going to wind up getting the fifth-year option that an edge rusher should get, or a guard or a center will wind up getting the fifth-year option that a tackle should get. And I think it's pretty clear we all know that these markets are not the same. So what happens is the Lions found themselves in a position with Jack Campbell making the Pro Bowl. It moved his fifth-year option up from like 17 million up to almost 22 million. And that's a fully guaranteed contract. That's a cap hit. That's happening in 2027 if the Lions pick that up. You can't maneuver around it. You can't change it really in any way. So the Lions are saying, hey, we're not going to give you this fifth-year option, this 22 million in 2027. We're going to say, let's give you a huge contract and try to find a way to work around it. Maybe it's more guaranteed money. Maybe it's more money per year. What I want to figure out today is maybe what that route is. So I've come up with three different ways that the Lions can extend Jack Campbell that will both be great for the player and make up for the fact that they didn't pick up that fifth-year option. So let's jump into the first option, which is probably the easiest option in terms of Lions fans' minds, but I don't know if it's going to be that easy in terms of the player's mind. Let's jump into it. Okay. All right, let's get into this first option here. And if you see these numbers here and they look crazy, like, don't worry, I'm going to break things down for you here. The first deal is just making Jack Campbell one of the highest paid linebackers in the league. With what you see here, this is a 4-year extension worth $80 million. This would pay him $20 million annually. It would make him like the second or third highest paid linebacker in the league. And the Lions like to break down their contracts a lot like this. So if you look, this is kind of what you're going to see basically in every deal I'm going to show you here. 2026, 2027, you're going to see smaller cap hits, but larger dead money hits. So the Lions like to have their guaranteed money get paid out a little bit earlier. That way they can have smaller cap hits at the same time. So you see this when you look at deals for Jared Goff and Kirby Joseph and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell, and you're going to see it in Jahmyr Gibbs deal. This is what the Lions like to do. It helps them still be able to pull off some other moves. And then when you get to 2028 with Campbell, you see it comes up quite a bit. That's where the Lions will probably do some sort of restructure. Maybe they pay him that money out in 2028, or maybe they do another extension at that time. He'll only be like 27 years old when that comes up. So it's kind of kicking the can down the road. He's going to get paid a lot of guaranteed money, and that's going to be good for him. It's not the most guaranteed money for a linebacker. It's pretty far off from that, but this is a pretty healthy deal, I think. Where you see the problem is, if I'm Jack Campbell's agent, I'm looking at Jack and I'm saying, I'm going to the Lions and I'm looking at Jack and I'm saying, hey, my client is 25 years old. He just made first team All-Pro. He's going up. He's only going up at this point. He's not 28. He's not 29. let's pay this guy like he's going to be all pro for the next 5 years and not like he's all pro and he'll never get back to it. So this deal, while it looks very good, like if I were, Jack Campbell, I would take this deal. It's a great deal, man. But if I'm Jack Campbell's agent, like I said, I can get more money out of this. I can get more money out of the Lions, and the Lions can still get some good things done contract wise. But man, this ain't all I'm looking for. So that's when you start going into what this next deal might look like. Let's jump to the next one. All right. So this is the second deal. This is going to make Jack Campbell a rich man. This is a 4-year extension worth $96 million. This would make him the highest paid linebacker in NFL history in terms of annual value. So he's going to make $24 million a year, 60 million of that guaranteed. And again, look at how the breakdown goes. 8 million that first year, 10 million that second year, and then it blows up to much bigger in the third year. And it's the same thing. Lions have some maneuverability in those first 2 years that they would not have gotten had they got that fifth-year option picked up. So you go from the difference of 22 million to 10 million, like it's a big deal, right? And you can do that extension or that restructure in year 3. But this doesn't make Jack the highest paid linebacker in the league. And that's fine. Like if I'm Jack Campbell, I'm taking this deal. If I'm Jack Campbell's agent, I'm taking this deal. This is a great, great deal. The highest paid linebacker in the league in terms of average annual value. 24 million a year. That's nothing to laugh at, man. Roquan Smith is currently the highest paid guy. This beats him. This beats Fred Warner. This is a huge, huge deal. But there is one more thing, and this is like if the agent is just greedy as hell and wants to get a big deal for his client, you can't blame any agent for wanting to get the best deal for their client. And let's move on to this third and final deal. All right, this is the big dog right here. This is the deal that, I mean, man, he would never say no to. Like, no one would say no to this deal. This makes Jack Campbell the man, the highest paid linebacker in NFL history in every sense of the word. This is $26 million a year. This is $80 million guaranteed. This is a 4-year, $104 million extension. Man, this is big money right here. So right now, Roquan Smith has the most total guarantees with 60 million. This is $20 million over what Roquan's getting, and Roquan's 29. So, you look at the guys who are right there with Roquan. Fred Warner he's getting 56. He's 30 years old. Zach Bond is getting 34. He's 30 years old. So Jack has so much leverage just in the fact that he's such a young player and he's just now getting this good. And you just, when you're his agent, you could say, well, he's only going to get better, man. So pay him the most. So $80 million guaranteed, 26 million average annual value, and then $104 million on the total deal. I don't know if the Lions are going to do this one. This one's huge, man. And like if they do, props to them. They like to take care of their players. Props to Jack Campbell for getting paid. But I think it's going to be that deal in the middle. I think it's meeting in the middle. You get him $24 million a year. That's a great deal. It's $84 million total. You get him locked up for a few years, and then in 2028, you give him another extension. Let's say he's made another all-pro team in that time. Then, hey, you go to him in 2 years, and you say, man, you were really great. Now let's give you this mega deal. That's what I would do if I were the Lions. That's what I would do if I were Jack Campbell's agent. I wouldn't try to go all in, but if they get it, they get it. But either one of these deals, these 3 deals that we laid out, are going to make Jack forget that he didn't get that $22 million fifth-year option. He's going to get paid handsomely. He's going to get set up to get paid handsomely again. He'll have a third contract with the Lions. Let me know what you guys think. if you were Jack's agent, because I want to know what you would think if you were Jack's agent. But I also want to know from the Lions fans' point of view, and I also want to know if you were Brad Holmes, what would you do? What deal do you think is realistically? Don't go in there thinking, man, I'm a Lions fan. It's got to be the cheapest deal. I want to know what you guys would do, and I think a lot of you might go with that middle deal. Let me know in the comments below, and we'll move on from there. Let's see what you guys say. See you next time.